I have always been an introverted person. I've always been someone who likes to keep to themselves. There's been someone who's a loner, in their head, off in their own world. Stuff like that. That's how I've been described. Honestly, I don't really mind all that much, because most of it's true, but it's a stereotype. The introvert. Not generally the nicest label in some connotations, but it is a label that has been applied to me. It is a label that fits me. Jen Granneman is an author with a degree in psychology. She talks about introversion, what it is, what it entails, different aspects of it, all that in a book she wrote called The Secret Life of Introverts. I've read this book. I thought it was interesting. It's very insightful. It talks a lot about the differences between introverts and extroverts, how those differences apply, and what it means. So for me, as an introvert, like I stated at the beginning, I like to keep to myself, usually pretty quiet. Don't talk that much, but that's because I like to think about what I say before I say it. So, I guess in a nutshell, I'm more of a quote-unquote classic introvert in that regard. But, you know, throughout my life, this has been something that's kind of stood out a little bit. You know, I'm always that quiet guy. You know, I don't necessarily want to go to a party of some sort. You know, I like to go off by myself for a while, and people always wonder why. Like, you know, why are you going by yourself? Why not go with other people? It's better to go with other people. But I just can't tolerate that, you know? I have to be by myself for some portion of the time, just because it's who I am. I can only stand being around people for so long before I have to get away. But when I've worked in some places, I always want to know, like, what are your strengths, you know, what's a weakness, and like, everything these days, you have to collaborate, you have to work with other people. It's all about being part of a team, and I've always wanted to put, like, as a quote-unquote weakness, you know, that I'm a loner, you know. I don't necessarily like to work with other people. And so that can make, like, finding a job a little bit harder, because it's like I'm suddenly being forced to work with other people all the time, 8 hours a day or longer. And it always kind of made my job miserable. So that was kind of difficult, took some adapting to. But in the end, I figured out a way to make it work, and I just had to get away from people for the rest of the day after I got home from work. It was like, okay, I'm home from work. That's enough. I got to get out of here. I go off by myself for a few hours. I'm back to work the next day. But I made it work. So, I mean, it's not that hard being an introvert. It's just something that is a little bit different, because not everybody understands it. Not everybody necessarily cares about it either. So, especially today, where everything is, you know, everybody else has to see what you're doing. Everybody else has to know what you're doing, and you always have to show off what you're doing. That's not me. I don't care about that. Don't want recognition. I'd rather stay in the shadows. Don't like to be in the light. But here I am, putting myself out there. I like the solitude. I like the peace and the quiet. Can only be found at 4 in the morning. But that's partly who I am.